Welcome to Scorched Earth Tarot. This is going to be a general reading for Capricorn. Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of January, 15th to the 31st. Take what resonates, leave the rest. May or may not follow on from the monthly. Video for January. Apply your own discernment. You'll work out very quickly if this is a reading for you or whether I just wasn't connecting with your energy at this time. So, with all that said, whoa. Okay, King of Swords. 3 cards for Capricorn's energy right now, please. 8 of Wands is flipped. Cards. Oh, Queen of Pentacles. So King and Queen we've got on the board there now. Where's Capricorn at right now? I'm going to show you that, but I'm not going to take it because it didn't jump. It's the 9 of Wands. I feel somewhat battered by circumstances at the moment. It's like wanting to sit down and just rest, but knowing that you have to keep fighting. That's what that card's about. One more card for Capricorn, please, for the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks of January. Got the Lovers, which is the card of Gemini right there. Right, it talks about needing to make a choice. Anywho, at the bottom of the deck, we've got the 10 of Swords. Right, that's really painful, to be honest. It actually is. It talks about betrayal, humiliation, hitting rock bottom sometimes. Take it as it resonates to you, but it's a real sense of not being able to get any lower, is what it is. Which is a painful energy, Capricorn, to be sat in. I'm not going to lie. So, the 3 cards that you've got here for your current energy are the King of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Lovers. The King of Swords could indicate an air sign man, so that's Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, but I don't feel like it is, because there's a king and a queen on the board now. I think that this is your inner and outer world, potentially. Masculine and feminine aspects, something like that. Now, the King of Swords, he gets a bad rap for being cold, right? And sometimes he can come across that way, but he's not. He's logical. And he puts emotions to one side when he needs to make decisions about things, right? Because he's concerned about fairness for everybody, right? He's concerned with the just. He's concerned with making sure that everybody's okay and nobody is mistreated. He's also an excellent communicator. He's very expressive. He looks like quite a kindly old man, actually. But this sword that he's got over his chest, which represents, integrity and truth and stuff like that, I'm noticing that it's crossing his heart. So I feel like there's probably an emotional situation that you're dealing with at the moment that you are actually having to squash down a little bit, right? And you're using your reason and your intellect and your logic and your sense of everything that is good and right and stuff like that. And you're kind of covering your heart with it at the moment. That's that real sense of having to detach from the emotions in order to make the best decision for everybody concerned. And then your inner world is the Queen of Pentacles. Now, this could be an earth sign woman, in which case it would be Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus. External to you, but I feel like this is just you, right? This is you. And what I always get from certainly the Page, the Knight, and the Queen of Cups is a sense of knowing what is valuable, like knowing the worth of something, and whether that's in a financial, material sense, it's possible, but it's emotional worth, it's emotional value, and it can even be self-worth and self-value, possibly. But she's very practical. Which is not to say that she's not emotional, not emotional. She's very practically minded, and I find it interesting that these 2 cards have come up together, right? Because the Queen of Pentacles looks sad to me. Like, she always looks a bit sad. She's got a thing that is worth an awful lot to her, held in her hands, but she always seems sort of sadly contemplative about it. And then we've got this dude here. He's covering his heart and he's having to make reasoned, logical decisions. This is you right now. It feels like your feelings about the matter you're having to put to one side, or not your feelings about the matter so much as the emotions that you are experiencing about the situation that you are in right now are ones that you cannot take into account in order to make this decision, because you do have a decision to make. It's right here, and it's a major decision because this is a major arcana card. You know, there are minor arcana cards that talk about decision making and stuff, but this is a life-changing decision right here. And it feels like the emotions that you have about making this decision are ones that you're having to put to the side. And I'm drawn to this angel at the back here, and the angel looks sad too. So there's great sadness about what it is that you're having to decide, you know, whatever this choice is to you. But for whatever reason, you can't take that into account because it's not right, it's not fair, and it's not practical. It's a really heavy energy, Capricorn, actually. Right. Fucking flippers. Right. Let's have a look and see what's coming towards you. For the last 2 weeks of January, what's coming towards Capricorn, please? What's coming towards Capricorn? How interesting. Sorry, it's a really interesting pairing. We've got 2 pages, the Page of Cups and the Page of Pentacles, and they've come out in this order, like this. Right. And so they're sitting underneath these 2 as they lie on the table in front of me. Now, pages are messengers, often, but they're certainly indicative of new starts. Right, because they're the lowest echelon of the court hierarchy, so there's movement implied because they need to work their way up, you know, before they hit the king. The Page of Cups talks about messages of love, and the Page of Pentacles is you know, practical stuff. It's often the student, you know, it's somebody who wants to learn everything that there is to know about Pentacles, the creation of Pentacles, you know, resources of any description, emotional, material, otherwise. But what really struck me while I was staring at them is because these 2 pages are facing away from each other. And the positions that they've landed in I find significant too, because the Page of Cups is low. Like it's sometimes could be a child. Like, there's a naive quality to this. You know, it's small, it's new, it's all those kind of things. And it's sitting underneath the King of Swords, and it feels like maybe the King of Swords is your father or something like that. You know, it's just possible. But these emotions that you're having to squash down, they're like those of a child. You've got to squash them, or maybe you're only allowing a little bit out, you know, because this is not the King or the Queen or even the Knight of Cups. You know, this isn't big. This is very small, very small. Right? And if you're having to cover your heart and protect yourself, and you're not allowing yourself to think about the emotions, then probably the tiny little bits that are squeaking out would be indicated by the page here. And then we've got the Page of Pentacles. And you remember I said I'm talking about the value of things, you know, that these 2 are now sitting above and below each other. But they're facing off in different directions. He's looking that way and she's looking that way. Or it's the other way around. And they both look sad too. And they're both holding this pentacle. It feels like you don't really know which way to go. Like, you've got this thing and you know it's valuable and you've got to move in a particular direction, but you're just kind of stuck because you can see the value of going that way, you can see the value of going that way, and what's actually happened is you are standing still, not sure which way to go. Maybe because of this decision. Like, if this decision is here, then you can see the value of going either way. And you're stuck. But these pages are facing away from each other. So it feels like the practical decision does not correlate with the emotional decision, right? They go off in different directions and you are stuck. And then we've got the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the Nine of Pentacles is a card of self-sufficiency, right? This person here does not need anybody else to do anything for them. It's very Capricorn energy, actually. You know, they're very capable. There's a certain level of material comfort implied from this. But she's always depicted as solitary because she's done it by herself. I'm going to pull another card for that because I'm kind of interested. But maybe it refers to the fact that the person, because let's have a look at this, you know, it's sitting directly underneath the Lovers, the choice, right? The choice comes down to you, no one else. Like, nobody else really has any input on this decision. This is all about you. And this is why you're feeling the strain so hard. The weight of the decision is entirely on your shoulders, and that is Page of Cups. It's a really difficult energy to sit in. Have another card for the Nine of Pentacles, please. Nine of Pentacles. Card for the Nine of Pentacles. Right, so the card that flew out is the Eight of Swords, and the Eight of Swords is the card of feeling trapped. Like, there's no movement on this card whatsoever. This is absolutely stuck. And it's, you know, I asked for clarification on the Nine of Pentacles. And so what we've got now is this. We've got a decision that needs to be made by you and you alone. And you are feeling static. You know, just as those pages are facing away from each other. It's the king, the queen and the page looking off in opposite directions. You know, you're being pulled one way or another. And you're ending up stuck in the middle. And one more card for the Nine of Pentacles, please. Whoa. So, we've got is Death and the Sun, right? Something needs to transform. That's what this is about, right? It can talk about death, it can talk about physical death, but more often than it talks about transformation. I mean, what's more transformative energy than going from life to dead, right? Frankly. There are also the cards of Scorpio and Leo, so that might be important. Just throw that in there. But like, something needs to end, something needs to transform, and you can't employ your emotion about it. Like, it's not, you know that that's not the way to go. But you're being pulled in one way and another, practically, and one way and another emotionally, whilst trying to stay strong, trying to stay protective of yourself and make the right logical decision. And you need to let things change because of the sun. Right? You have to usher in this transformation, whatever it is. Like, and this can sometimes talk about children, but it talks about innocence and vulnerability, you know, but it is the most positive card in the deck. Like, whatever decision that you make, and it's going to be a hugely transformative decision, whatever it is, it's going to have positive results. It's, you know, there's a great freedom and liberation implied by this card. I really love it. And it's innocent and it's pure. You know, what isn't washed clean by the light of the sun, really. Oh. Bottom of the deck, we've got the Ten of Swords again. That's the second time that card's appeared at the bottom of the deck, and that's an entirely different deck there. Now, it's whatever this decision is that you have to make, it's really heavy. And it's really heavy for you individually. But maybe it has a knock-on effect for other people. That's possible. But responsibility for this decision resides with you and you alone. So, there's some cards of advice, please, for Capricorn. Cards of advice. On the bottom of the deck now, we've got the Seven of Cups, and it talks about options. It talks about lots and lots of choices and not knowing which one to make. Like, a perfect card to describe here. The three cards that you've got that have come up. This is so bizarre. You now have three cards of Scorpio on the table because we've got, for me as a reader anyway, because we've got the Tower, which has come up in reverse. We've got Judgment, and we've got Death, right? All of those are Scorpio cards. Possibly there's a Scorpio in your environment who's influential in helping or at least supporting you while you make this decision. Right? Take it as it resonates. But the Tower's come out reversed. This way up, it talks about sudden shocking events that you just don't see coming. You know, you just get completely broadsided by it. And it can be anything, right? It's the universe coming in and just changing everything. This way up, it's delayed, right? And it's come up as advice. So I feel like what you're being asked to do is take the time to truly consider your decision, right? Don't just make the decision and then live with the consequences afterwards. Like, put everything in the right place in your head first before you move on, right? And then we've got another card of Scorpio. And like, Scorpio covers sex and death and creation and destruction. You know, it's a really intense energy, hugely. And whatever it is you're about to do is going to transform your life in some way. But this card here, it can often talk about resurrection of situations that you thought were dead and buried. But I feel like more it's more of a judgment day kind of situation, like a day of reckoning, right? Because when you have these two together, right, this is about delaying a really sudden, thing that you need to do, whatever this is. And I feel like it's very closely linked to this decision here. It's about delaying that to properly consider, to properly judge how you feel about it. Because ultimately, whatever this is, you need to live with it. And so you need to be confident that you've made the right judgment in this. Yeah. And then we've got the Horned one, which is the Devil in a standard deck. But I really like this depiction because it's got less of the kind of Christian toxic overtones that you get with a standard deck. Like, this is something natural. This is something earthy, coming up as it has with Death. Like, I have a particular resonance with this card, in particular this depiction of this card. There's a sense of cycles, natural cycles, returning to nature, returning to the cycle of life, really, I guess. There's a wild side here, I mean, we're all animals, and we all have but a very thin veil of civility over the top. But ultimately, there is a cycle. And you're stuck right at the end of it, needing to either usher this in or go up. Like, there's no sense here to me that you are not going to make this decision, and there's no sense here to me that you're going to make the wrong decision. Like, it feels very much like you know what you're going to do and you're going to do it, but you need to take the time to prepare for it first. It's quite heavy, it really is. I'm trying to think if I've got anything else left to say. No. Just take the time to process. Submit to the process. Because you will get there in the end. Oh, right, I'm going to leave it there, Capricorn, because I don't think I've got anything else to say. But if the message resonated, I'd love it if you liked the video or left a comment or something like that. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, because I love you to the moon and back. But good luck with everything. and I will see you in a couple of weeks for the February. I forgot what month I was in there. February general readings. Oh my god, your energy's absolutely baked to my noggin. Right, take care. See you soon.